Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Naresh Mago, and with me is Anita Anand with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold high-level meeting in Ukraine crisis in a short while from now. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh says all Indian nationals stranded in Ukraine will be brought back home at government's expense. Number of flights to be increased for safe evacuation. Indian Embassy in Ukraine advises its citizens to use nearby railway stations to reach western regions. UN Security Council to meet tonight over Russia-Ukraine conflict. Uttar Pradesh records around 54% voter turnout till 5 p.m. in fifth phase of assembly elections. All arrangements in place for first phase of assembly polls in Manipur tomorrow. Voting to be held from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Prime Minister asserts women reaching new heights in different fields and dispelling myths. And in cricket, third and final T20 international between India and Sri Lanka underway at Dharmashala. With the new Omicron variant of coronavirus causing concern, we appeal to our listeners to be vigilant and get fully vaccinated, and also help others, including children between 15 and 18 years, get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding a high-level meeting on the Ukraine issue in a short while from now. Mr. Modi will hold the meeting immediately on his return from Uttar Pradesh. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh has said that all the Indians stranded in Ukraine will be brought back to the country at the government's expense. In a tweet, the Defense Minister said that the government has decided to increase the number of flights to neighboring countries of Ukraine with their permission for this purpose. The External Affairs Ministry today called in both the ambassadors of Russia and Ukraine separately and conveyed deep concerns on safety and security of Indian citizens, particularly the students based in Ukraine. Addressing the media in New Delhi, Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla said he has shared with both the envoys the locations where the Indian citizens are concentrated for ensuring their protection. Mr. Shringla said that both the envoys took note of the concerns and assured him that they are very cognizant of the safety and security of the Indian citizens. Mr. Shringla also said that so far, under Operation Ganga, 1,000 Indian nationals have been flown out of Romania and Hungary, and another 1,000 have been evacuated from Ukraine through land routes, and flights have been organized for them. He informed that the border crossing to Hungary and Romania is functioning. However, the exit point to Poland is clogged due to lakhs of foreign nationals trying to escape from that point. He said those who are near the borders of Hungary and Romania are guided towards their border points in phases.
यूक्रेन में तनाव की स्थिति उभरते ही आपको बताया कि भारत सरकार ने भारतीयों को और खासकर से हमारे स्टूडेंट्स को सुरक्षित वापस लाने के लिए ऑपरेशन गंगा शुरू कर दिया है। यूक्रेन के पश्चिमी इलाके से भारतीय और पड़ोसी देश जैसे कि रोमानिया, हंगरी, पोलैंड और स्लोवाकिया गणतंत्र के रास्ते से बाहर निकाला जा रहा है। इन सीमाओं के नजदीक कैंप ऑफिस तैनात की जा रही हैं और सीमाओं पर हमारी और मंत्रालय की टीम 24 घंटे वहां पे मौजूद है। अभी तक 1000 से अधिक लोगों को रोमानिया और हंगरी रास्ते से सुरक्षित निकालकर वापस लाया जा चुका है और इन बॉर्डर पॉइंट से भारतीयों को देश से बाहर निकालने की प्रक्रिया जारी है।
Mr. Shringla said that the Indian Embassy at Kyiv in Ukraine and the External Affairs Ministry in Delhi had issued a number of advisories prior to the situation developing in Ukraine. He said 4,000 of Indian nationals had left before the conflict pursuant to these advisories. He said we estimated at that time that about 15,000 citizens were left in Ukraine when Operation Ganga commenced. He said since the airspace in Ukraine was closed after the conflict commenced, the ministry has identified land evacuation options from Hungary, Poland, Slovakia and Romania.
Meanwhile, Indian Embassy in Ukraine has said that it is continuously exploring and working to open up more borders with neighboring countries for Indian citizens. In its advisory, the embassy said as and when curfew is lifted and there is considerable movement of people in their respective neighborhoods, Indian nationals are advised to use nearby railway stations for movement out of the regions of active conflict and proceed towards the western regions. It added that the transportation mode of railways is operational and safer, and if tickets are available on regular trains, they may be booked. In addition, Ukrainian Railways is also operating special trains for evacuation of people free of charge on first-come, first-served basis at the railway station, and for which tickets are not required. The schedule of trains can be seen at the website www.uz.gov.ua. And people are also advised to check the digital boards at railway stations because they are the most updated and trustworthy. In addition, announcements are being made at railway stations on real basis. Indian Embassy in Ukraine has also advised the Indian nationals to travel in groups, and in case of individuals, they are advised to identify other fellow Indian nationals and travel together with them. Preference at railway stations is being given to children, women and the elderly. Embassy of India in Ukraine said it is closely monitoring the developing situation, especially in eastern regions of Ukraine, and is in constant touch with the authorities, requesting the safety of Indian citizens. Fourth flight with 198 Indian nationals on board under Operation Ganga has set off from Romanian capital Bucharest for Delhi. Earlier, the third flight of Operation Ganga with 240 Indian nationals from Budapest landed in Delhi this morning. A batch of Indian nationals in Ukraine reached the Ukraine-Hungary border and then came to Budapest to board the flight. Prior to that, two more flights, one to Delhi and with 250 people and one to Mumbai with 219 passengers, brought back Indians from the war-torn country.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has called Foreign Minister of Moldova, Nicu Popescu, seeking support for facilitating entry of Indian nationals on the Ukraine-Moldova border. Dr. Jaishankar appreciated his ready response and strong support. He said the MEA representatives will accordingly reach there tomorrow. In a tweet, the External Affairs Minister said that he has also called up Hungarian Foreign Minister M. Peter Szijjártó and requested further cooperation on the Hungary-Ukraine border. He thanked the Hungarian Foreign Minister for the evacuation support provided so far. Amid the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, the United Nations Security Council will convene today at 1:30 a.m. Indian time to vote on a resolution calling for a special session of the General Assembly. The United States and Albania have requested a meeting of the UN Security Council for a procedural vote to appoint a special session of the General Assembly over the events in Ukraine. In the case of a procedural vote, the right of veto is not valid, and 9 votes out of 15 members of the Security Council are required to make the decision. The emergency special session of the UN General Assembly will be requested for Monday. This comes after Russia on Friday vetoed a draft UN resolution on Ukraine.
European Union foreign ministers are holding emergency talks tonight to discuss ways to help Ukraine's armed forces fight back against the Russian invasion. EU Foreign Policy Chief Joseph Borrell will chair the virtual meeting starting at 10:30 p.m. Indian time. The 27-nation bloc has set up a European Peace Facility, a fund with a ceiling of around 5.7 billion euros to bolster its military training and support missions around the world. The meeting comes a day after Germany announced a major shift in policy to send weapons and other supplies directly to Ukraine. Voting concluded peacefully for fifth phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh today. An average of 53.98% voter turnout was recorded till 5 p.m. 61 constituencies spread over 12 districts went to polls in this phase. The districts where elections were held today are Shravasti, Bharej, Barabanki, Ayodhya, Amethi, Raebareli, Sultanpur, Gonda, Pratapgarh, Kaushambi, Prayagraj and Chitrakoot. The state is witnessing 7-phase elections. Our correspondent reports in the wake of COVID pandemic, elaborate arrangements were made for free, fair and corona-safe polling.
Long queues were seen from early morning at the polling booths, which indicated the enthusiasm of the voters in this phase of elections. Barring few sporadic incidents, voting was peaceful in fifth phase. This phase has decided the political fate of 693 candidates, including many ministers of the state government like Siddharth Nath Singh, Nand Gopal Gupta Nandi, Ramapati Shastri and Chandrika Upadhyay. Polling took place today at Sirathu constituency of Kaushambi district also, from where Deputy Chief Minister of State Keshav Prasad Maur is in fray and Pallavi Patel, leader of Apna Dal Kameravadi, is fighting against him. Prominent religious places of state like Ayodhya, Prayagraj and Chitrakoot went for poll in this phase. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Prayagraj.
Campaigning has intensified for the remaining two phases in Uttar Pradesh. Leaders and star campaigners of various political parties are holding rallies and roadshows. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed political rallies in three districts, Varanasi, Deoria and Basti today. Addressing a conclave of booth-level party workers in his parliamentary constituency, Varanasi, the Prime Minister said the sole objective of the BJP is to work for the people, and the party workers have demonstrated it during the tough times of the COVID pandemic. He said the double-engine government of Uttar Pradesh has led the state to the path of development with double speed.
जब ये गौर परिवारवादी सरकार में थे तो यूपी के विकास के लिए, गरीबों के लिए हम जो भी काम लेकर आते थे उसमें ये अड़ंगा लगा देते थे। लेकिन बीते 5 साल में डबल इंजन की सरकार ने यूपी के विकास की पूरी ईमानदारी से कोशिश की है। आज यूपी की जनता इस बात को समझ रही है, यूपी में हुए विकास कार्यों को देख रही है।
In his address in Deoria, Mr. Modi said this election is between Rashtrawadis and Parivarwadis. In Basti, the Prime Minister said the government is committed to the safety of its citizens and Operation Ganga has been launched to evacuate Indians stranded in Ukraine. The BJP leaders and Union Ministers Amit Shah and Rajnath Singh also addressed political rallies in Balia, Maharajganj and Azamgarh. Samajwadi Party's National President Akhilesh Yadav campaigned for the party candidates in the constituencies of Gorakhpur, Deoria, Maharajganj and Kushinagar districts. Addressing a gathering in Gorakhpur, he said the party is confident of forming a majority government on the 10th of March. Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra held a roadshow in Balrampur district. She said BJP, SP and BSP have failed to make Uttar Pradesh a developed state. She appealed to people to read the party's manifestos before casting their vote. In Manipur, voting will be held tomorrow for the first phase of assembly elections. All necessary arrangements are in place to conduct free and fair voting in 38 assembly constituencies. These districts include Imphal East and West, Bishnupur, Fairzol, Chura Chandpur, Kangpongpi districts. The polling will be held from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. The election body has also announced certain restrictions imposed in the polling station premises in order to ensure free, fair and smooth election tomorrow. It said that providing free conveyance to voters to and from the polling stations by a candidate or his agent is a corrupt practice and is strictly forbidden. The voters are required to produce one of the 12 identity documents approved by the Election Commission during the polling. We have a report.
A total of 12,09,439 voters will decide the fate of 173 candidates tomorrow. Among the candidates, 39 candidates have criminal antecedents. Among the 1,721 polling stations, 381 will be pink polling station, completely manned by all women polling teams. One polling station in Saikot Assembly constituency will be manned completely by PWD polling personnel. The voting will start from 7 in the morning and will end at 4 in the evening. JJ Thoksom, AIR News, Imphal.
Sporadic incidents of violence marked the municipal elections in West Bengal today. 76.51% voting was registered till 5 p.m. in 107 municipalities. DGP of the state Manoj Malviya said no major untoward incident took place and polling was by and large peaceful. 797 people were arrested while another 51 persons were detained. News just in, the fourth flight under Operation Ganga with 198 Indian evacuees from Ukraine has reached Delhi from Romanian capital Bucharest. You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold a high-level meeting on Ukraine crisis in a short while from now. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says all Indian nationals stranded in Ukraine will be brought back home at government's expense. Number of flights to be increased for safe evacuation. Indian Embassy in Ukraine advises its citizens to use nearby railway stations to reach western regions. UN Security Council to meet tonight over Russia-Ukraine conflict. Uttar Pradesh records around 54% voter turnout till 5 p.m. in fifth phase of assembly elections. All arrangements in place for first phase of assembly polls in Manipur tomorrow. Voting to be held from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Prime Minister asserts women reaching new heights in different fields and dispelling myths. And in cricket, third and final T20 international between India and Sri Lanka underway at Dharamshala. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle and AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today lauded the women of the country for taking the lead in every sphere. Addressing the nation in his Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio, Mr. Modi said, women are reaching new heights in different fields and they are dispelling myths. He mentioned about the International Women's Day to be celebrated on the 8th of March.
मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, आज से कुछ दिन बाद ही 8 मार्च को पूरी दुनिया में इंटरनेशनल वुमेन्स डे, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महिला दिवस मनाया जाएगा। महिलाओं के साहस, कौशल और प्रतिभा से जुड़े कितने ही उदाहरण हम मन की बात में लगातार साझा करते रहे हैं। आज चाहे स्किल इंडिया हो, सेल्फ हेल्प ग्रुप हो या छोटे बड़े उद्योग हो, महिलाओं ने हर जगह मोर्चा संभाला हुआ है।
Mr. Modi said daughters of the country are playing new and bigger roles in the armed forces. He stressed that a social evil like triple talaq is also coming to an end. The Prime Minister expressed happiness that India has been successful in bringing home over 1,000-year-old idol of Avalokiteshwar Padmapani from Italy. This idol was stolen a few years ago from Kundalpur temple of Gaya in Bihar. He said in the last 7 years, India has successfully brought back more than 200 precious idols. Talking about the Indian culture and heritage, Mr. Modi introduced two Tanzanian siblings, Kili Paul and his sister Nima. They've recently become popular on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. He said they have a passion for Indian music. He praised their technique of lip-syncing. Recently, a video of Kili Paul singing Jan Gan Man on the occasion of Republic Day went viral. The International Mother Language Day was celebrated recently. Mr. Modi stressed that the mother tongue shapes a person's life. He expressed pride that there are 121 different languages in the country and 14 of these languages are spoken by more than 1 crore people in everyday life. Mr. Modi greeted Marathi speakers living worldwide on the occasion of Marathi Bhasha Gaurav Divas. Tomorrow is National Science Day. This day is also known for the discovery of Raman effect. Mr. Modi paid tributes to C.V. Raman and all the scientists who have contributed in enriching the country's scientific journey. On this Science Day, the Prime Minister urged all parents to start with small efforts to develop scientific temperament in their children. Mr. Modi reminded everyone to go vocal for local in the upcoming festivals like Shivaratri and Holi. The Prime Minister will address a webinar tomorrow on the vision of Gati Shakti and its convergence with Union Budget 2022. The webinar is being organized by the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Under the nationwide COVID vaccination drive, over 177 crore 44 lakh doses have been administered so far. The COVID-19 recovery rate currently stands at 98.54%. In the last 24 hours, nearly 20,000 recoveries were registered, over 10,000 new cases were recorded, and 243 deaths reported.
In our bilingual live phone-in program, Corona Jagrukta series, Dr. N.K. Arora, Chairman of National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization, will be with us tonight to answer the queries related to coronavirus. This live program can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. Listeners can ask questions to the expert from 9:30 p.m. As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. And now let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News, Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember one of the greatest revolutionary freedom fighters, Chandrasekhar Azad, who lived up to his resolve of not getting arrested by the British and shot himself on the 27th of February 1931.
Chandrasekhar was born on the 23rd of July 1906 in the erstwhile princely state of Alirajpur, now in Madhya Pradesh. Chandrasekhar participated in the non-cooperation movement in 1920 and 1921 in Banaras and opposed the sale of foreign goods. He was arrested and put under trial in the court of Kareghat, where the presiding magistrate was notorious for his brutality towards the freedom fighters.
Chandrasekhar's attitude in the court was defiant.
नाम क्या है तुम्हारा? मैंने पूछा नाम क्या है तुम्हारा?
आजाद।
बाप का क्या नाम है तुम्हारा?
स्वतंत्र।
कहाँ रहते हो तुम?
जेल में।
ले जाओ इसको मेरी आंखों के सामने से और पेंड्रा को रेव की सजा दी जाए।
भारत माता की जय। वंदे मातरम, वंदे मातरम।
With the suspension of the non-cooperation movement, Chandrasekhar Azad started engaging in revolutionary freedom struggle. He came in contact with Manmatnath Gupta and Pranavesh Chatterjee and became a member of the Revolutionary Party in Banaras. Involved in the Kakori mail robbery in 1925, under the leadership of Ram Prasad Bismil, Azad went to Jhansi and stayed under the protection of Master Rudra Narayan Singh.
In Jhansi, he found good associates like Sadashiv Rao Malkapurkar, Bhagwan Das Mahor and Vishwanath Vaishampayan. To avoid police raids, Chandrasekhar Azad slipped
on the 17th of December 1928, and it was at his insistence that Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt exploded bombs in the Central Legislative Assembly on the 8th of April 1929.
He was also indirectly involved in the attempt to blow up the Viceroy's train in December 1929.
हमको तेरी कसम तेरी राहों में जहां तक लुटा जाएंगे.
Chandrasekhar Azad was betrayed by an associate to the police on the 27th of February 1931 in Alfred Park, Allahabad. When he was surrounded by heavily armed policemen, Chandrasekhar Azad kept his pursuers at bay single-handedly with a small pistol and a few cartridges. left eventually with only one bullet in his pistol. He fired it at his own temple to live up to his resolve.
Is named in his memory as Chandrasekhar Azad Park in Prayagraj. The pistol he used still adorns the walls of the museum in Prayagraj. We salute the brave son.
End of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
In cricket, Sri Lanka have set a victory target of 147 runs for India in the third and final T20 international match at Dharamshala. After electing to bat, the visitors scored 146 for the loss of 5 wickets in stipulated 20 overs. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. Jammu, Leh and Gilgit will also have a partly cloudy sky. Kohima, Itanagar and Gangtok will have a partly cloudy sky. Agartala will have mist. Thiruvananthapuram will have a partly cloudy sky. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold high-level meeting on Ukraine crisis in a short while from now. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh says all Indian nationals stranded in Ukraine will be brought back home at government's expense. Number of flights to be increased for safe evacuation. Indian Embassy in Ukraine advises its citizens to use nearby railway stations to reach western regions. UN Security Council to meet tonight over Russia-Ukraine conflict. Uttar Pradesh records around 54% voter turnout till 5 p.m. in fifth phase of assembly elections. All arrangements in place for first phase of assembly polls in Manipur tomorrow. Voting to be held from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Prime Minister asserts women reaching new heights in different fields and dispelling myths. And in cricket, Sri Lanka set a target of 147 runs before India in the third and final T20 international at Dharamshala. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.